So, Sanjay, tell me about the Sri Lanka-China relations. What do you know about them?
Yes, sir. So China is trying to expand its space in the Indian Ocean, and
Hmm.
for which Sri Lanka it sees as a major partner. And China has already taken lease of some of the infrastructures in Sri Lanka, like the Hambantota Airport,
Hmm.
Hambantota Port, for
Hmm.
example,
Hmm.
which is taken by China for a lease of 99 years.
Hmm.
And China is the major investor in Sri Lanka when it comes to foreign investment. And during the economic crisis that Sri Lanka faced, China has also given a huge amount of support in terms of monetary support. So in all these ways, China
Fine.
is.
Should we talk about? Should we stop talking about the 13th Amendment now and let Sri Lanka do whatever it does? Because Sri Lanka sees it as an interference in their internal domestic affairs.
So, in my opinion, the 13th Constitutional Amendment is a promise that Sri Lanka has made so that it can deal provincial autonomy to the Tamil majority provinces in the northern and eastern councils.
Hmm.
And even during the recent visit of Sri Lankan president, our honorable prime minister has also called for implementation of the 13th Constitution Amendment. So
Hmm.
India sees that Sri Lanka should go forward in what it has promised in 13th Constitution Amendment, and we can nudge them in implementing them rather than being seen rather than Sri Lanka being seeing it as an interference. It should see it as a promise towards the Tamil community.
Hmm. What was Texperia where you participated?
So it was a national level symposium which was held in a college known as SMS College of Technology, and
Hmm.
there we presented our project.
What was your role and what did you learn from there?
Yes, sir. So the project was identification and testing related to quarry sand as an alternative for silica sand in foundries. So we tested by replacing the silica sand that is mined from the riverbed with quarry sand, which is basically found as waste in the quarries. So we tried to replace it and found the strength of the castings after molding it. So it was found that it can be a viable alternative for silica sand. So it has two benefits. One is the waste management of quarry sand is done. Second is the environmental aspect, because mining of the river beds can lead to erosion and some other problems. So it can be replaced.
Sanjay, we
Yes, sir.
have brilliant mechanical engineers like you. We have a lot of iron ore, we have a lot of minerals, we have a lot of labor, we have machinery, we have everything. Why do we need to import cars?
Yes. So can I take a moment, sir?
Yes, please.
Yes, sir. So India is producing its own brands of cars, but certain brands of cars are majorly imported. For example, the high-end luxury cars which are made in Italy, Germany, like Maserati.
Hmm.
Luxury cars are not that goodly made in India. So there is space for this luxury car. The luxury segment is there, and that is why we import some of the cars from abroad. Moreover, the some of the cars manufacturing hubs, they have their manufacturing facility outside, so importing of them seems to be viable alternative at right now.
Okay. Tell me about the road safety in India with respect to the vehicle manufacturing. I think that Indian cars can run at 100 and 150, but they don't have the capacity to negotiate a particular crash. Let's say Maruti Suzuki Swift is the most famous car in India. It's the one of the cheapest cars, and even the middle class can afford it. But then when it comes to the crash rates, it nothing left. I don't think people are safe in that. So is the government doing something?
So there are aspects related to safety, and the safety test, the crash test is also being performed on all the cars before they are being released into the market. So, but if you go for high-end safety features, the cost aspect is also will be rising. So that is one factor. So there has to be trade-off between the safety and cost aspect. So many cars, they have decent safety features, and during the collision also some safety features are there inbuilt in the cars itself. So all these provisions are there in the modern upcoming cars. We have The autopilot features also certain areas where we can prevent the crash. So such facilities are there. So preventive and safe driving can reduce many of the accidents, in my opinion, sir.
So tell me more about it. If we had global NCAP ratings, why did we need the Bharat NCAP ratings?
So I'm sorry, sir. Can I hear the question once more?
If we had the global NCAP ratings, why do we need the Bharat NCAP ratings? The Bharat safety ratings, safety norms for the cars. We
Yes,
had the
sir. Yes, sir.
global safety norms for the cars. Why do we need Bharat safety norms for the cars now? Just as for fuel, we had Euro standards. Now we have Bharat standards. So
Yes,
for
sir.
the cars, why do we need the Bharat ratings?
So certain features they must be adopted to the Indian conditions, and global standards have high standards which may be difficult to meet. But Bharat standards are little liberal on that factor, so it has features which are tuned to Indian setting and Indian parameters. So that
But
is why
don't you
I think.
think that's playing with the safety? Don't you
So
think that?
continuously,
Hmm.
yes, sir. Continuously, we have been improving our safety standards also. Just like the Bharat emission standards, we are improving on the safety standards also. And
Hmm.
many tests are also being performed. So I think with in the future, many more safety features will also get incorporated.
Sanjay, have we failed in the neighborhood first policy? I'll give you a monologue. Pakistan is an enemy. Afghanistan has Taliban, which was not up to our liking. Nepal is in the Chinese camp. Bhutan is very small and very insignificant. Bangladesh, it has a political turmoil. Myanmar has a military and we are fencing the borders there. Sri Lanka, very unpredictable. Economic crisis, political crisis. Moizu came to power with the India Out campaign. They are all warming up to China. So, yes, have we failed in the neighborhood first? It's been 10 years, but no progress.
Sir, on the outright, we cannot put the neighborhood first policy as a failure. The current policy or the current circumstances in the Indian neighborhood has the individual country's own political background, and also, as you said, so the interference and involvement of China is also on the rise. So we are trying to match up the neighborhood first policy, but on certain domains, for example, in Bangladesh, the failure to assess the political turmoil and the fall down of the Hasina regime, wherein we put most of our eggs in the one basket. So that is all some mistakes that we have made in our foreign policy. So we are trying to offset them by engaging with all our neighbors in a different manner. For example, we have also raised the foreign aid to different countries. For example, Bhutan has the highest foreign aid. Same way we have raised for Maldives also, with whom we had some tensions. So we are engaging with each neighbors on individual basis so that our national interest is also protected.
Would you have done something different if you were the DM of Manipur or if you were the Chief Secretary of Manipur? How would you have handled it?
Yes, sir. So the Manipur crisis has two different parties, the Meiteis and the Kukiso communities. So unless and until there is a trust gap that is existing between these two communities are reduced, the situation will remain unsolved. So I'll make an effort to make sure that the trust gap is reduced, and constant communication, negotiation by all the parties together on one single table is something that I would have experimented and requested both the parties to get to some concessions. Unless there is concessions from both the end, there cannot be a compromise. So I would stress them. Yes, sir.
So, should we also accept here that we failed in Manipur? Now, that's very obvious. 2 years of death, destruction, loss of life and property, and fire and rapes, and children being orphaned, so many people being displaced. What do we say?
So in my opinion, I feel the central government has taken a long time in revoking the administration in Manipur, because the administration in Manipur was perceived to be seen as pro-Meitei, and that would have had an impression on the minds of the Zomi, Kuki Zomi communities, that peace may not be forthcoming if the the administration is pro-Meiti. So having a neutral administration or a neutral party in the administration domain would have helped in easier restoration of peace.
Now you are India's ambassador to America. How do you see President Trump, as a challenge or as an opportunity?
So there are both opportunities and challenges, sir. So in the opportunities, I see that this can be an arena where India can concentrate on expanding its trade relations with other countries, focus on improving its competitiveness and reducing the logistics price, and also negotiating multilateral, bilateral trade agreements with multiple partners. So that is one thing which can be done. On the other hand, in challenges, we have to negotiate so that the impact of the Trump tariffs, they are on minimal side to India. And we can also take measures to reduce tariffs in certain areas which will have least impact on the Indian society, so that Indian exports also get boosted.
So since there are challenges also, and challenges are a lot, would you have preferred Madam Kamala Harris instead of Donald Trump?
So that is the decision of the American people, which we have to respect. So
No, but still, you have choices in national interest. Who would you have preferred?
So I think the present administration itself is okay, because it is taking some steps to end the war in Ukraine, Russia, and also in Middle East. So those measures, they may reduce the global uncertainties and allow for trade and negotiations to improve. So in that way, we can take it as a positive also. It also gives us a chance to expand our trade agreements and also reduce the tariff structures which have been already doing. So it gives a fillip to that.
So why do the Tamilians worship their actors? I've heard that.
Yes, sir. So there are instances, particularly during when film releases happen, pujas, abhishekams are all done on the imageries of actors. So politics in Tamil Nadu, there is a craze towards film stars, and the film stars also many a times take the role that is like pro poor and pro people. So that kind of connect is there in Tamil Nadu. That is why they see film stars as a larger than life figures and celebrate them.
What about the Amma canteens? Do you see any reforms in them, or they are going good?
So the Amma canteens are being run by the present administration also, but their expansion is not being done in a much higher manner. The number of canteens that are already running are just running, and they are being providing services to the people, sir.
He also says that food fortification can be done so that the nutrition levels can be improved with the food that Amma canteens are providing. So what do you do for a living? You are Assistant Inspector of Labor. What is the nature of your job?
Yes, sir. So now, job nature involves inspecting the particular shops which are allocated on the web-based inspection portal, and trying to enforce the labor laws. And if there are any contraventions found, we provide them the inspection order to rectify them. And even if the inspections order is provided, there are some erring institutions, we try to book some offenses and compound the cases.
But you are only focused on the organized sector, right? What about the unorganized sector? What about if there is a domestic help who's being troubled by the owner household? So how is the labor department going to tackle that?
So yes, sir, as you mentioned, there are some gaps in tackling. For example, as you said, the domestic workers and all. Sir, we have the welfare boards only. We have the welfare board for unorganized workers, wherein some social security measures can be provided. Apart from that, if there are any complaints that are received towards the labor department, then we conduct some in field level inspections, and we try to find
now
some.
Here again, my question is that those unorganized workers are not enlightened that there is even a labor department that exists for their help. So
Yes,
how
sir.
to tackle this issue on ground? I am a household help. I am a maid.
Yes.
I am illiterate. I don't even have a mobile phone. My my owner keeps me. they provide me food as well, but a basic wage, which is not even the minimum wage which the uh, department or the ministry says, and there is no dignity in my work. So who will help me? And no one cares about me. So how will you, as a labor inspector, reach such people? This is my
Yes.
concern on ground.
Yes, sir. Sir, the extent to which each inspectors can inspect the each domestic workers,
Hmm.
that is questionable only, sir.
Hmm.
To be more proactive, we can urge the resident housing associations so that they can convey the information to the each house owners that they must follow the labor stipulations. These are the laws and rules which you must abide, and minimum wages must be provided. Moreover, the help of the social workers and the NGOs and communities can be taken so that more information can be gathered. And if at all any situation of harassment or low wages is coming to notice, we can take some action.
Why is Section 79 of the IT Act under news?
Yes, sir. So recently, formerly Twitter has filed a petition in the High Court of Karnataka saying that the government has been resorting to using Section 79 for a blocking order.
Hmm.
Wherein under the IT Act, only Section 69A was to be used for blocking order. But the central government has opined that it is not a blocking order per se. We only request the firms to take down some content which is deemed as harmful. And it is just a request to take down the certain contents. So that is why the contravention is there.
How is 79 different from 69?
So in 69, direct blocking orders can be issued. Under 17, there is a portal known as Sahyog portal,
Hmm.
wherein the government authorities can direct the particular intermediate social media houses to take down certain contents. And if they don't do that, the safe harbor provision, which is available under Rule 7 of IT rules, will lapse.
So I'll give you three recent incidents. One is the X, which you just talked about, then the Kunal Kamra incident, and third
Yes.
is Pratap Gadia, who's the MP. So three important incidents on the national front. Do you think free
Yes.
speech is threatened in India?
Sir, of late, with the rising recent incidences, there seems to be like the right to freedom of speech and expression is somehow compromised. For example, even in the Ranveer Alhabadia case also, where some Supreme Court even mentioned that we must uphold and cherish the freedom of speech and expression. And whenever there is some political satire or hostile comments, the political on the political front, it is not appreciated, and the humor is also even met with hostile action. So, with these instances, it seems like the right of freedom of speech and expression is under threat. But the Supreme Courts have intervened, timely intervention by the Supreme Court, and repeated addresses that right to freedom of speech and expression is a cherished right, puts again the confidence that right to freedom of expression can be protected.
Mm-hmm. Is India not ready for dark comedy?
So India is getting ready for dark comedy, and with many population getting to enter the OTT platforms and the web streaming contents, social media involvement, they are gradually getting ready, sir. It is not fully. We cannot say the entire population is ready. They are on the phase of
You say, sir,
getting.
India is progressing and it's uh, being open to more new ideas. However, sir, no society is ready for vulgarity and obscenity.
Yes, sir.
You say we are ready for every expression, but we aren't ready for the expression which promotes vulgarity, obscenity. We have some social norms, and those needs to be satisfied, or those need to be followed when with moral responsibility when you are a public entity in India. And that
Sure,
is
sir.
why there is a conflict between the fundamental rights and the regulation by the state.
Sure,
Fine,
sir.
fine. Now let's come to Kacha Thivu. Is
Yes.
there still any issue? Because I still find news of fishermen being arrested.
Yes, sir.
Why are the countries not able to find a permanent solution?
Yes, sir. So the issue of Kachativu was solved with 1974 agreement, where India recognized that it belongs to Sri Lanka. But in 1976, there was another subordinate agreement in which the fishermen rights of fishermen to fish there was recognized, and they can also go to a shrine over there, a church over there for a yearly festival. So
Hmm.
more than this issue, major issue is where the Indian fishermen cross the international maritime boundary line, and they also involve in destructive fishing practices like bottom trawling. So that because of that instance, many fishermen get arrested by the Sri Lankan Navy, and their boats are also impounded. The Ministry of External Affairs has also raised this issue with the High Commissioner of Sri Lanka to secure the release of the Indian fishermen. So a joint working committee of both fishermen of both the sides can be formed, so that there is a mutual agreement between the two sides. And we must also nudge the Indian fishermen to involve in safe fishing practices, so that the fish catch is also available for the Sri Lankan fishermen.
So Sanjay, Kal Chakra, people, planet, and place, peace. What is it?
Sir, I'm sorry, sir. Kal Chakra, sir.
Kal Chakra, people,
Uh,
planet, peace. Have you heard this somewhere? It was
sir,
a
I'm not.
theme of the Raisina dialogue.
Okay, sir.
Are
Sorry,
you
sir.
aware? Okay, are you aware of the outcomes of the Raisina dialogue? Okay, you read more about it.
Sure, sir. Sure.
COP29. What was India's stand at the COP29? Give me three bullet points, three major points.
So first point is India doesn't agree to phasing out of coal and fossil fuels. India is more favored towards phasing down of coal and fossil fuels. That is first thing, sir. And so the other thing I'm not able to recollect, sir.
Okay, you read more about it because you've been
Yeah.
a forest conservator as well, right? What job? Forester as well in
Yes,
the
sir.
Department of Tamil Nadu. Okay, what is a forest? How does government define a forest?
So government defines forest as protected areas under the Indian Forest Act, and the state forest uh, areas which have been notified as reserve forest or protected forests.
And what changes did the T.N. Godavarman verdict give in the definition of forest?
So the Godavarman judgment took the dictionary definition of forest, rather than those areas which are being classified as forest. The areas which have the characteristics of forest with with tree cover will be recognized as forest. So this was one shift in
Very good. So, why did Oliver Ridley turtles die on the coast of Tamil Nadu recently?
sir, I'm not.
Mass deaths. Although their nesting has increased in the Andhra Pradesh and the Gadimatha sanctuary, but on the borders of Tamil Nadu, on the coast of Tamil Nadu, there were reports that the Oliver Ridley turtles have died in bulk. So you read about it. ठीक
Sure,
है?
sir. Sure, sir.
Now let's talk about history. Why history, first of all? You are a mechanical engineer. So
Yes,
what
sir.
provoked you to take up history? Was it love for the history or just for clearing this exam? Be very honest.
Yes. So honestly, I like listening to stories, sir. And
Okay.
the teacher taught history also took it in a very interesting manner. So
Hmm.
that is the main reason. And over the as you said, so the second reason was also there, because majority of the syllabus of history was coinciding with the mains syllabus and also with the prelims syllabus, GS syllabus,
Hmm.
so that I could cover them in a comprehensive manner with less time. That
Hmm.
was.
So tell me, what was Marxist historians' views of nationalism? How do they see nationalism? The Marxist historians.
So in the view of Marxist historians, the nationalists, they view nationalists as people who taken the credit of the working class, and they see the leaders of the nationalist movements as predominantly as the bourgeois
Bourgeois.
class.
And what was Tagore's view of nationalism?
So Rabindranath Tagore was a person who uh, was more towards synchronizing the West and the East. He believed in the concept of patriotism rather than nationalism, and he advocated that the whole world is oneness. So his concept was global citizen, something that sort of view was enriched by Tagore.
Sanjay, is there a north-south divide in India?
Sir, I believe the north-south divide is not there because there may be differences, north-south differences, but I don't find them as a divide as such, sir.
So how do you see the language issue? Is it a political issue or a cultural issue or an issue of fairness or what?
So language per se is a major embodiment of culture. And in India, the language is a very sensitive issue because it is closely related with culture. And sometimes there is also the political angle that is involving in this aspect also. So it is a cultural come political issue, sir.
So why is center not transferring funds to Tamil Nadu under the Samagra Shiksha Abhiyan?
Sir, the PM Shri scheme, which is a part of Samagra Shiksha Abhiyan, had while signing the MOU itself, it had the provision that the funds will be granted only when the states implement the new education policy in its entirety, where the state government has reservations with respect to the three-language policy. So because of non-implementation of NEP, the funds are being withheld by the central government.
So Karnataka is implementing it, Telangana is implementing it, Andhra is implementing it. What are the issues in Tamil Nadu with regard to the implementation of the three-language form?
So the state government has expressed reservations first with respect to the three-language policy. They want to stick to the old and the present two-language policy itself. Second thing is new education policy has provisions for vocational education from 6th standard itself. The state wants it to implement only from the 11th standard. These two are two major factors why the state government is opposing it.
And why do I hear the perception that Hindi is being imposed? They are saying this as well. So do you think that Hindi is being imposed?
So with respect to the new education policy of 2020, it has provision for flexibility over the third language. So any modern Indian language can be implemented. So per se, we cannot say that Hindi is being imposed. So the state government has the option to provide any other language also.
So you as a chief secretary or you as a bureaucrat or let's say an IAS aspirant, what do you suggest regarding delimitation? There are concerns, population is less in the South India, and then there is an issue with respect to the representation in the parliament. The northern states haven't done fairly well, predominantly UP and Bihar, which are highly populated. They are given more seats in the parliament. What is your take?
Sir, in my opinion, population must be the predominant factor on which delimitation must be done. But having a historical connotation that the southern states and some states have also reduced their population and demographic performance, that aspect must also be taken into consideration when going for delimitation. So something like the Finance Commission terms of reference, we can have not just population but also the demographic performance as a factor in the delimitation formula.
So were Mughals the invaders?
So Mughals basically had their origin outside India, but they had set up the Mughal dynasty and they've assimilated into the Indian culture and they've got Indianized completely. And they've also brought with them the Persian culture, which got integrated into the existing culture and led to a composite culture in India. So per se, though they were groups which came from outside India, they got completely Indianized. And today we cannot call them as invaders.
So do you call the Britishers as invaders?
Yes, sir. The Britishers were colonizing powers. They did not have their home here. They did not settle down here. Their primary motive was to rob India of its riches, and they assimilated all the wealth back to the home country. So the
I think
concept
that
of Mughal.
history is being misinterpreted because we are calling Mughals as invaders, but we are warming up to the Britishers. We have never called Britishers bad or invaders or something. People have forgotten the atrocities, the most recent ones where the Britishers have done on us, as recent as a century ago.
Sir, it's not that we have forgotten the British history or British rule. We are trying to decolonize them,
Hmm.
and uh, we have already recognized British as a colonial power only.
Hmm.
So in that way, uh, I think we are trying to move forward and forget the past in its negative aspect and try to chart on the path of development and globalization.
So why has Aurangzeb suddenly risen up from the graves? He has become all the more powerful. Even when he was living, he is more powerful than that, I feel.
Sir, again, there is a political connotation to it. The recently the movie of Chava was also released, which was used positively by some certain elements to provoke the communal overtones in
Hmm.
the particular state of Maharashtra.
Hmm.
And we have been asking for removing of the grave of Aurangzeb, which lies in Kuldabad. And because of that, there was some violence which took place in Nagpur also, which the state government has called it as pre-planned and premeditated.
What should be done with the grave? Should it be removed, kept aside, or what?
So the grave is protected by the Archaeological Survey of India,
Hmm.
and I think, in my opinion, the grave should be protected uh, because it is a historical site, and any tinkering with the grave or removal of the grave may not do well because the history of the past, but particularly the communal history of the past, must not be invoked
Hmm.
today so as to seek retribution or revocation.
So, do you write Tamil poetry or Hindi poetry?
So it is usually Tamil poetry.
Okay, can you recite some verses?
Yes, sir. Sir, it is in Tamil only, sir. I'll translate, sir. Uh, the last one I written was whenever I am broken into pieces, you have been the gluing element to bring me back together.
Okay, please carry on. I would love to hear it.
So that is only two lines with that, sir.
Okay, so you write it in Tamil, right?
Yes, sir.
So why don't you tell me in Tamil? I would love to hear. Uh,
Sure, sir.
uh,
ஒவ்வொரு முறை நான் சுக்குநூறாக உடையும் போதெல்லாம் என்னை திரும்ப ஒட்ட தேவைப்படும் பசையாக நீயே இருந்திருக்கிறாய்.
okay, wonderful. This says, what does it translate now?
So the same meaning, sir. Many times, whenever I've been broken into pieces, you've been the element to glue me back, bring me back together as a person.
So who has been the inspiration behind this?
So there is no inspiration, sir. It is just an imaginary person.
Okay, an imaginary hypothetical person.
Yes, sir.
So how are NGOs regulated? Under which ministry, under which laws are NGOs regulated in India?
So the NGOs are regulated by multiple acts. The first thing is the Charitable Institutions Act. There is also the Foreign Contribution Regulation Act. And the Income Tax Act also has provisions for exemption of uh, tax amounts for contributions to NGO. These
Very good.
three.
Very good. And what about the Foreign Exchange Management Act, FEMA?
Yes, sir, that also, sir. The NGOs must have bank accounts only in certain branches of the SBI at Delhi, and they have to submit annual returns on it, and a frequent renewal of the license is also necessary, sir.
What about hand lettering? What is it?
So it is a visual art form which involves drawing and illustrating of letters. So some small phrases are taken and they are being etched in the form of drawing. Um, that is hand lettering, sir.
Okay, how is it different from calligraphy?
So usually calligraphy is done with a single stroke, wherein the upward strokes they have bigger thick thick lines, and the downward strokes are thin lines. And in hand lettering, we just draw the letters and illustrate them. In calligraphy, there is the medium for adjustment is very less, whereas in hand lettering, a person has means of adjusting the letters. Even if some mistakes are done, he can adjust it and correct it as a form of design. So more freedom is there in hand lettering.
So what is the difference between a language and a script?
So language is usually a tool for communication, whereas script is the written form of a language.
Okay, script is a written form of a language. Fine. Now tell me, what are the similarities between the Indus Valley civilization and the present ecosystem of urbanization in India? Are there any similarities, or are there any features of the IVC which you see in the present scenario or the present ecosystem of urbanization in India?
So there are some similarities. For example, the cities like Chandigarh, which are planned cities, they have similarities with respect to the urban planning that Harappans mastered. And the drainage network also is similar. Majority of the areas we are trying to have drains under the smart cities and Amrut mission. So there can be some similarities in the drainage pattern also. Apart from that, in sometimes we can see that in Harappans there was the upper town and the lower town. Similar way, in some areas we can have colonies of laborers, or there is also ghettoization in the form of caste or religion. So there is some similarity in this aspect.
Why does Bipin Chandra compare the Gandhian movements with Gramscian movement? He's compared Gandhi's strategy to the strategy given by the neo-Marxist historian Antonio Gramsci. Are you aware?
Sir, I'm not able to connect.
Okay,
Sir, I'm not.
no worries about it. I just asked you out of the box just because I know it, so I asked you. Okay. Continuities in the British and the Mughal rule with respect to the administration?
So I'm sorry, sir. What British carried from the Mughals?
What Britishers adopted from the Mughal administration, or continuities in the British and the Mughal administration?
Sir, I can recall in judicial system wherein the Qasis and the Maulvis that we had. So they initially had adopted the same system. The Hindus had Pandits for the Hindu judiciary, and for Muslims we had Qasis. So the
Do you think that
judiciary.
archaeology? Okay, read more about it. Do you think that the Archaeological Survey of India is busy digging temples and graves instead of conserving them? It's not doing the task for which it was mandated.
So in many times the archaeological excavations of already built temples or graves, they've been mandated by the judiciary. So they are doing it as a part of the judicial mandate, sir. And they are also involving.
Fine. Perfect. I wanted to hear what I heard. Perfect. Afghanistan, why is it called the graveyard of empires?
So there is a historical reason, because any big power which tries to land in Afghanistan have found themselves their empires collapse. The first with the British Empire, which wanted to have Afghanistan so that can act as a buffer to protect its most cherished territory of India. But in the process, it lost the Afghan wars. And in the next 100 years, the British dynasty or British Empire itself went into oblivion. The same way with respect to Soviet Union, when in 1979 we tried to have its occupation of Afghanistan, within 10 to 11 years, the Soviet Union itself is collapsed. Same way with respect to US, when it tried to have and war on Afghanistan in 2001 after the 9/11 attacks. We could see that China is rising and the influence of US is seen as in the downward trend. So because of all these reasons, it is said that Afghanistan is a graveyard of empires.
Perfect. So where is left? 100 years ago, Communist Party of India was established, 1925. Today is 2025. But we see there that the left has almost been extinct in India. You agree? Why is it so?
Sir, in my opinion, the idea of leftism is still there. For example, the trade unions have still the backing of the left ideology, and in some states like Kerala and West Bengal also, the left is a significant power. In Kerala, they have won back-to-back victories, and they have formed the state government also. So more than left being non-existent, they are confined to certain regions, and their power is diminished. Major reasons are we could see the rise of other powers which were able to catch the space of the people, the citizens, and many times they entered into alliances which the people also didn't like. They entered into alliances with their own erstwhile oppositions, and because of these reasons, I feel left is feeling its space coming down.
Oh, okay. What about the Belgaum session, 1924? 100 years again.
Yes, sir.
Three main points.
So the Belgaum session was the only session which was headed by Gandhi. In the second point, I think it advocated for the constructive activities and eliminate the discrimination among the people. Third thing, I think it is where Gandhi accepted the principle that the Congress Swarajya party can contest elections.
Why is there a rise of right throughout the world? Right-wing governments and leaders and hyper-nationalism is there. Why is it so?
Sir, after 2008, we have been witnessing what is called as globalization, and the economic growth has also taken a hit, particularly after 2008 and also in the COVID period. Particularly in economies like Europe and developed economies, which have liberal policies, which has allowed for immigration, that has not went well with the major people. So they see that their own culture is being affected. The other factors, there is also the rise of extremism, which is particularly related to Islamic extremism in European countries. So with the falling economy and rise of influx of immigrants and extremist activities, they feel that their own individual cultural traditions are under attack. This has been captured very well by the right-wing parties. So this.
Perfect. What is your opinion on the continuing farm protests in India, and why has the state failed? And
So I'm
what can
sorry.
be done?
The second part of the question I was not able.
Okay, I'll repeat it. Why are there continuous farm protests? Secondly, why has the state failed to stop these protests? And thirdly, what can be done?
So the farmers' protest mainly revolve around the legislation for backing up MSP. So that is not yet provided to them, which was also a significant motive of their protest back in 2020 also. So that is why they have assembled and protesting. The government is not able to satisfy them because the government has not promised any legislation so far. Moreover, the farmers they feel that their livelihood is under threat, and majority of the times it is majorly conducted in Punjab and Haryana region, where the rich farmers feel that their income may go down, particularly if MSP is not upheld. That is one reason, sir.
But they are already getting the MSP. Even if it is not legalized, they are getting it. All their crops are being acquired at the MSP. Then what is the reason?
Sir, I'm not able to.
You tell, sir, there are so many farm unions. Not all are protesting, first of all. Protests have come down, states have controlled them to some extent. And there are some political vested interests as well. And agriculture has some genuine concerns as well. Just as you said, there is a climate change, water table, the incomes are coming down, the prices are going up, and all that. ये सारी
Sure.
चीजें आप बोल
Okay.
दीजिएगा. You tell them there.
Okay,
Oh,
sir.
let me see your DAF once more. What else
Sure.
may I ask you from there? You have done exceptionally well, abhi tak. Okay, badminton, I'm not going to ask you. Bhajan singing, again, I'm not going to ask you. You are prepared with that. I've asked you about the poetry, mechanical engineering. I've asked you a few questions. Electric vehicles, वगैरह, you are prepared with.
Yes, sir, I have prepared.
You've prepared the electric vehicles, and if they ask you too technical about mechanical, you may even deny that, sir. It's been quite long. You did your mechanical in 2017, and now
Yes,
it's 2025. So you say, sir, I am sorry, I'm not able to recall. If
sure, sir.
they'll ask you something like Young's modulus or something. So even I have forgotten my whole engineering. So you may take that call.
Sure, sir.
Yeah. I don't have any complaints, Sanjay. You are excellent. This is all I can say.
Okay, sir.
You have been very good in all the domains, almost 99.9% of the domains. You are absolutely prepared. Your interview is on 4th of April, na?
Yes, sir.
This was your final, I feel this was your final mock or your final DAF session.
Yes,
And
sir.
my opinion is that you'll score somewhere around 190. This is my opinion.
Okay,
The
sir.
only thing which you have to be sure of is, and you have to take care is that even if you get some notorious boards who
Hmm.
are asking very too factual questions and you don't know anything about them, just say a confident no
Sure, sir.
and don't lose any hope. Even if all the questions are wrong,
Hmm.
don't lose any hope. Why? They'll give you marks for confidence. Even
Sure,
if
sir.
you 10 times no ma'am, no ma'am, no ma'am, Suman Sharma ma'am's board, if it's there, and she's not asking anything from anywhere, she's asking everything from sun to moon. She'll say, okay, Sanjay Srinivas, history optional, tell me what was NASA's last mission to Neptune. You don't know it. She may give you those shocks. You
Sure,
only
sir.
have to say no, ma'am. That's it. A confident no, ma'am. Just as Zelensky, you'll have to be very confident, even if you're put in that. Okay, is Ukraine peace deal a repetition of the Treaty of Versailles?
So the issue is an evolving issue, sir. We have to wait and watch how the nitty-gritties of the deal are finalized.
Is it Cold War 2.0?
Sir, I don't think it is as a Cold War because what President Trump is involving in is transactional diplomacy, where everything is rooted to making America great again campaign.
Hmm.
So he's trying to engage with all the partners with whom America can benefit.
No, but what about the America-China tussle? It's a kind of, they're not engaged in hot war, but then they are fighting on other fronts like tariff, the Indo-Pacific, and all that. So, what do you say?
So I majorly see it as a competition between two powers which are vying for the biggest space in the global arena. One that is already a superpower and one that is becoming as an economic superpower.
You don't see it as Cold War.
Unlike,
Fine. Hmm.
unlike
ठीक है, it's okay, it's okay. It's very good. Okay, what about rewriting of history? There are concerns, some people are raising concerns that history is rewritten or history is being erased. What is your opinion on that?
the history must be and should be rewritten as per the evolving evidences, the archaeological and the literary evidences. There are certain portions of history which have not been given adequate importance. For example, there are different schools like feminist school, ecological schools, which are giving more importance to the contribution of women and also the history from the ecology's viewpoint. So, with all these different schools which are coming up with subaltern school, they can provide a comprehensive analysis of history.
And you say, sir, it gives more perspectives to history. Even if there are more interpretations, it means there are more perspectives, and history can evolve as a subject. It is
Yes, sir.
better for the subject that the previous history is being challenged
It is-
or
Okay,
new
sir.
versions are being given. है ना? You
Sure,
are
sir.
absolutely ready, Mr. Sanjay. If you have any doubt, you can ping me now. You can
Sir, particularly, yes, sir.
tell me.
So particularly with respect to the labor subject, if I'm asked a question on why India is not able to have labor reforms, or should India have hire and fire policy? So what can be our viewpoints, sir?
See, there are two things to it. You simply give a diplomatic answer that, sir, India's needs to become a developed country or Viksit Bharat by 2047 needs both the reforms on the labor side as well as the bureaucratic red tapeism. We need to give a free hand to our industries also. We also need to balance the social justice aspect, that the labor doesn't get, there are no atrocities on the laborers. है ना? So for that, sir, there can be a comprehensive dialogue between the labor unions and the stakeholders and the industry. And then, sir, a way forward or a balanced way forward can be brought out.
Okay, sir.
This could be the best possible answer, because you can't say that, sir, we need to strengthen the labor laws. If we are strengthening the labor laws, then what will happen? The industry will suffer.
Yes, sir.
And grow as a manufacturing hub, we can't grow as an IT hub. But then the industries are growing. There is a lot of inequality also in India. Inclusive growth is not there. So we need to balance both. This is the best possible answer, which I feel.
That is it.
That's it.